In the country, we had a farm of 165 acres. I did not want to be a farmer, and what attracted me on the farm was the Piper J3 airplane, which is yellow and black stripe. Very common airplane. They used our farm for training purposes. In the air, they would go around fields and trees for practice, and that's what attracted me. So this is a typical story that this kid rode his bicycle to the local airport. But when I become 18, of course, the war was on, and I volunteered because it was common knowledge that if you volunteer, you can probably get what you want rather than draft, and became an aviation cadet. But of course, everybody has to go to basic training. We were put on a train, and we came down here to Mississippi, Biloxi. I did my basic training for many, many weeks. Then we were sent over to Florida, the University of Florida, for an accelerated college course to hone, just to get real sharp. Time was passing, and there was a more urgent need for gunners on airplanes, and they selected me as a gunner, and I wound up on a B-24 nose gunner, the first one at the scene. So I went to many different bases, San Marcos, in Harlingen, and in California, many places. Training. Wound up in Boise, Idaho, and I fell in love, and I got married there. Well, I sent her home to Pennsylvania to live with my sisters while I finished war. Oh, from there on, there was many different bases, Fresno and Fort Lewis. And I feel like I was sort of lucky there. My number was such that we were in the final week of training when the war ended. We were immediately grounded and put to other jobs. So there was a rush to get out. You had to have points to get out. Those that went in first were going to get out first. So I had to sit there until my number came up. That was in 1946. I went back to my old job at this local airport. So I went back there, and we had a program then of the GI Bill that were training veterans to fly. We did that for 2 years, and pretty soon the government come along and closed our airport. My job was gone. Well, I, of course, didn't know. I was licensed mechanic then, and I chose to go over to Tulsa and work for American Airlines in overhaul. They were doing Convair work and then DC-6s and 7s, but I didn't like the indoor work. My wife was from Denver, so I I quit American and then went up to Denver to Continental Airlines and was doing line maintenance there for them until they started hiring pilots. It was very slow. Pilot hiring back then was 2 or 3 a year. After 2 years in the maintenance, they started, different airlines were buying another one called merger. And we merged with Pioneer Airlines from Texas, and I was the first on the list, so I did get to fly. Started flying with a DC-3. Flew the Arkansas Valley 10 stops in one day, overnight in Kansas City, and come back the next day. Then they had different models that were more powerful and bigger. There was a 320 and then the 747. I flew it to Honolulu And back, it was like a vacation. Fine airplane. But it was a costly airplane to the airlines, to us anyway. So they phased it out, and we got into DC-10, 3-engine. And that's what I finally retired on in 1985. Of course, my parents, back in their days, they never left the county. It was a Model T. So when I come along as the baby, I started flying and became airline pilot. That was what a thrill for them, that I could get them a pass to come to California to see me. That was great. So the service was a plus for me, which included the GI Bill, which hundreds of thousands of dollars that I have received in training. So I guess you have to say the time in service was good. But it's unfortunate that so many people had to die for that. But we come out the winner, and we hope that the progress will be continually better every year. I'm a churchgoer. We attend church here. We have several programs here at this. Now, the Wesley Meadows here is just so great. Wonderful place to live. But to have so many good programs here that my life is better than prior to coming here. But I have my aches and pains. I just came from the hospital this past January for congestive heart problem. And this, what I'm sitting on, of course, was my wife's. She has passed. Bless her. So I'm using it here. These kids need to apply themselves. I understand that I didn't have then what they have now with these electronic gadgets. Continue to be occupied in something good, as all of my grandchildren are into soccer, go to church, and meet good people. That's the important thing, to have good friends. Don't try to fix one that's already sour. Have something constructive to do in your life. You can't play after you're 18 like you did when you were at home. I think I've had a very good life.